The red-tailed hawk. A fearsome and ubiquitous predator. These beautiful birds of prey are seen across the Americas, from Canada to Colombia. But what could possibly draw them to a jungle of concrete and steel like New York City? How do they survive here? And can we live alongside them? I've made it my mission to find out. This is Wild New York.
My name is Ben, and I'm an amateur naturalist and animal lover.
Oh, and there he goes.
Join me and my friend Katie as we journey around New York City and discover a little bit more about the wildlife that shares our home.
When most people think of New York, they think of soaring skyscrapers, massive bridges, and iconic skylines. But New York City is also home to 28,000 acres of municipal parkland, stunning pockets of biodiversity, and welcome respites from the hustle and bustle of daily life. Although most of the large predators in and around New York City have long since been wiped out, the red-tailed hawk is here to stay.
The red-tailed hawk is known for its very literal nom de plume, but its coloration can be as varied as the environments in which it dwells. The subspecies that lives in and around New York City, the eastern red-tail, has the familiar coloration of rusty brown feathers along the back and head, with a white chest speckled with brown spots. Bright yellow legs and feet end with deadly curved black talons. Juveniles sport brown tail feathers with dark horizontal stripes, with the bright red feathers emerging in their second year. Young red tails can be difficult to distinguish from other species, like the Cooper's hawk and red-shouldered hawks, but there are two easy-to-notice markers. Red tails have a noticeable white patch, almost like a bib, between their neck and the center of their chest. The second is their size.
The red-tailed hawk is the third largest predatory bird found in New York City. Their body length averages between 18 and 26 inches, with a wingspan of nearly 4 feet. But their size doesn't slow them down. In fact, the largest only weighs about 3 pounds. A similarly sized dog would weigh close to 10 pounds.
In the wild, the average lifespan for a red-tailed hawk is around 21 years. In 2011, a specimen in Michigan was observed with a leg band that had been put on in 1981. Protected by the Migratory Bird Act and subsequent treaties throughout North America, this opportunistic predator lives and breeds in comfortable numbers.
Red-tailed hawks can make it anywhere. So what would draw them to skies surrounded by steel, concrete, and noise? Look no further than New York City's most populous and least popular resident, rodents.
Red-tailed hawks are ambush predators. They can often be seen circling high above a meadow or perched high in a tree alongside a green space or highway, waiting for the right moment to strike. Although they are known to eat other birds and attack prey on the wing, their preferred method is to dive from a high place and strike down on the target quickly and quietly. They then can return to a high perch to feast and protect their kill. Despite their seeming bulk, red tails can reach speeds up to 120 miles per hour in a dive. When hunting as a pair, breeding couples, or young hawks that grow up together work in concert, with one acting as a distraction while the other swoops in for the kill.
In many respects, red tails seem like the perfect predator for an urban environment. Largely indifferent to human activity, they make for fascinating objects of observation. Better still, they provide the city with free pest control, almost exclusively hunting overrepresented and pestilential populations. But as with most of New York City's urban wildlife, it's our behavior that needs modification if this special relationship is to continue.
What happens at the bottom of the food web invariably makes its way to the top. Poisons used to kill rats and mice aren't always successful and can remain in their bodies until they are consumed by larger predators. Worse still, red tails bring pieces of captured prey back to the nest to feed their young, who are even more susceptible to poisons in the bodies of rats and mice. Thanks to the advocacy of citizen scientists and the New York Audubon Society, the New York Parks Department has modified its use of rodenticides, particularly during nesting and breeding seasons.
While growing red-tailed populations have definitely left their mark on New York City, Gotham has also left its mark on these birds as well. There are behaviors seen among New York's red-tails that simply don't happen anywhere else.
Throughout most of North America, red-tailed hawks enjoy large territories. Breeding pairs and individuals typically hold areas between 1 and 2 acres, challenging any other birds who try and snatch a meal or a mate from their turf. New York's red raptors, like its humans, make do with considerably less space. Red-tailed hawks have made nests in the same city block with hunting territories that closely overlap with other birds. Rooftops, fire escapes, even air conditioners. If they can fit, it's fit to raise a family. And these aren't one-off occurrences. Certain birds are so consistent that buildings have set up nest cams to allow residents annual observations of their resident birds. And more than one legal battle has occurred between building tenants and owners over the disturbances of nests. One red-tailed, the pale male, gained such notoriety and renown, in part due to his unusual and noticeable coloration, that he spawned several books and a PBS documentary. While it's debated whether or not the pale male still sits in New York skies, what's certain is the impact he has had both on the city and the lives of his fellow birds. Now that we know a little more about the red tails of New York, let's see if we can find some in the wild.
So we're here in Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn. It's very cold. And right behind us we have a red-tailed hawk. Sat down and have a little breakfast. We're not going to get much closer to this because we don't want to disturb him. He's beautiful.
This adult red tail is another great example of how tolerant these birds are of human presence. The next red tail we encountered wasn't so lucky.
We're actually in a bit of a dire situation. There's a young red-tailed hawk in this tree just ahead of me that has got some kind of black tar substance on its chest tail feathers. It's really struggling to fly. We've managed to make contact with the Central Park Urban Rangers. We've got somebody that's going to come down here and hopefully take a look at this bird and maybe get it the help it needs.
This juvenile appears to have landed in roofing tar, and the added weight will make it difficult to fly or hunt. Attempting to preen the gunk away just make matters worse, taking their beak in the tar as well. Fortunately, courageous ranger Rob Mastriani was able to corral them and hand them over to the Wild Bird Fund for rehab, where they received the care they needed to remove the tar and begin their recovery.
From the heart of a modern industrial city like New York, it can seem like a good idea to fence out Mother Nature and limit our interaction with wildlife. But if the success and evolution of our relationship with the red-tailed hawk has taught us anything, it's that harmony with nature will lead us to our goals faster than conflict. It may require us to sacrifice some conveniences or even increase expenses, but it's all worth it for a world full of balance and natural beauty. If you're looking to observe red-tailed hawks near you, keep the following in mind. Never feed wildlife. Always maintain a safe and respectful distance whenever you're observing, and make sure to pack out and properly dispose of your trash. If you can follow these steps, you'll be leaving behind a city that allows wildlife to flourish and make sure the Big Apple stays a wild New York.